Okay, what I want to show you is, I told you that if you memorize the notes on the 6th string and the 5th string, that's really going to help you a lot, because the root note on this 5th string, for example, this is, we were talking about a B minor chord, that's a B note, so the B minor is just like this, right? If you move that up, okay, I'm going all the way up here, this note is an E, so this is an E minor right here. So as long as you know what this note is, then you know you don't have to memorize where to put your fingers here. It's all the same shape. If you go all the way to the open position, cowboy chord position, you have an A minor. And then wherever this root note is, you're just putting this finger down. And you don't have to really worry about like barring this. You can keep this finger kind of arched and really just hit all the strings except the high string. You can kind of just skip that one if you want to. You don't have to bar and play that high note. Anyway, let's go back to this. So I have an E minor right here because at the 7th fret right here, that's the E note. So I know that this is the E minor. Okay, now the cool thing is, if you play the C shape, you know, this is the C shape going, if I go down on the neck, you know, all the way down, this is a C chord, and I don't have to bar this. Usually you play with these fingers, a C chord, just a regular C chord. I'm gonna play like this, right? I don't have to bar it, and instead of using these fingers, I'm switching to put my pinky on the root. Okay, so the pinky's on the root, that's C, right? So if I put my pinky, wherever my pinky is, that's the root of that chord. So I'm putting it up here, this is an E chord right here. This is, you do the same shape, and then I'm gonna bar this, or you just play this single note. I have an E chord right here. And that's the C shape, C cowboy chord shape, but that's an E. Here's an E. And we said that that's an E minor right here. And here's the E major. All right? Now, going up to where we said with the E minor, this note right here, then, is the G note. I'm sorry, 10th fret right here. The G note is on the 10th fret. So now I can play this C shape, and that's a G chord, okay? So there's my G chord. And now if I just switch my fingers, the minor 6, the E minor is right here. With my lowered, this is the E note. So again, I have my root here, which is the G. I'm playing the C shape from the open cowboy chords. This is a G chord. Okay? Take this pinky off, just lift the pinky. I have an E minor 7. Here's a G. Here's the E minor 7. Put my pinky down here, I just have a regular E minor. So the minor 6 from that C kind of open C shape, the minor 6th is right here of that whatever key you're in. So if I did that down here, I have a C, and the minor 6 is A minor, and I'm lowering this note. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm going from a G to an E minor. Okay, right here at the 8th fret is the C bar chord for a C chord. So here's a C, and here's a C. So within this little space right here, I have a G chord, I have an E minor, I have a C. You know, it's based on that. That's on the 8th fret. You were calling that the F shape, which is like that triad. So if you go up here to the 10th fret, that's the C. So right within this shape, you got a G note, G root note here, E minor, E root here. I have a C chord, and then I have an F right here. Here's the F note. You know, there's the E note, here's the F note. So I got so if you're playing something like you know, I don't know if it's an F. It's all based on the root note here. So I have a G chord, F. And this is like the A shape. If you go slide that all the way down, you're playing an open A. Now it's an F. That's an F major. If I lowered the third, I'd have an F minor. So from this shape right here, this G shape I told you, that's a valuable shape because at the top of the G shape, the very top here, you have this open D shape. I'm playing that when I play this. Right here at the top is the same. So that chord shape is already contained within this shape. This is the G shape right here, the G arpeggio. And so from there, you can do these hammer-ons and stuff where you hold that part of that arpeggio and go. And I have the whole G chord right here. Go down to E minor. I'm going to go up to a C. Go up to a D. So I'm just messing around with those different chord shapes, but they're all pretty much there. You know, like this shape right here, this, you were calling it an F shape. That's just the top part of this full bar chord. If you don't have to play the full bar chord, you can just play that top part. Go all the way down here, that you have the F. Now G. C, F, G, C, C, F, G, C. Okay. One last thing I'll show you. This is becoming a long video, but maybe I'll post it on YouTube and then you can watch it on there. If you're playing something like this shape of the F, I'll do it down here where it's a little easier. This is a C chord. Here's a C shape. Here's the C. This is where that Hendrix things come in, because you have the notes of the triad. This is like the A shape, and you're sliding it up here, and you are playing a C chord with the C root right here. Okay, if you put your finger here and go slide this up from the 5th to the 7th, 2 frets, you go. That's where you put those embellishments like this. You're switching these fingers are now playing the triad instead of originally you're playing them with your ring finger. Then you slide up here. Now, one tip I would give you is when you're playing these bar chords, have your elbow out. And then when you slide up here, put your elbow into your side like that. Makes it easier. So I'm going. So if you're just playing, one last thing is, and I'm jumping all around here, but one last thing you're playing, here's the G, you know, we talked about that. So if I just play the top part, you have the same shape as the D down here. Here's the G. Slide it up 2 frets, you have an A. If you look right here, you have the C. That comes from that C shape here. And so I'll have to make another lesson to show you something else you can work on. Is it's those sixths where, you know, you're playing this D chord shape right here. This is the G, but you're going, if you just play the first and third string, you can go like this. I'm skipping the second string. So this is like from the G chord. I'm going. They sound really nice and used in a lot of this kind of music we're talking about. You hear me playing them all the time. All right, that's all for now. Hope that helps. Talk to you later.